I graduated in 2006, and unfortunately, I didn't have any internships and experience underneath my belt because I was paying for school out of my own pocket. I was raised by my grandparents in Brooklyn, New York. So when I graduated, I was freelancing for free as a PA until I realized I had to pay back some student loans. So I got my foot in the door professionally working in education at the Princeton Review. And 2 years in, I was just like, what the hell am I doing with my life? This is not what I went to school for. So I decided to pursue my MFA in film production at Brooklyn College. And 2 years after that, they shut down my department at the Princeton Review and I was unemployed. After I was enrolled in grad school, just moved out on my own, and I had no idea how I was going to pay for food, pay for my schooling, and pay for a roof over my head. That for me was the most challenging time in my professional career. And I knew that my next step had to be my career. It couldn't just be another job. So I was exhausting all of my friends that I knew that worked at Viacom, at CBS, at WB. And after feeling so defeated, one night, like midnight, I reached out to a friend because I saw a job posting at NBCU. I had no expectations. And I reached out to her like, hey, I saw this position, let me know if you can do anything. And she got right back to me. And it was actually her position because she was going to be studying abroad in Italy. So that's how I got my foot in the door 4 years later after graduating college. And I started working at NBC Universal in the cable operations department, literally starting from the bottom up. And it was a humbling experience because I was bringing senior executives, the rest of the team, like desks and chair mats and phones, and like doing something that was so, for me at the time, belittling but very humbling because I was in my late 20s. But I did it with a shirt and tie and a smile on my face, and it gave me a lot of exposure to the senior executives, presidents of Sci-Fi USA. I was able to network, and in less than a year became a production coordinator on the Sci-Fi Network, overseeing trailers, promos, EPKs, etc. And 2 years after that, promoted to project manager on some of our A priority campaigns at Sci-Fi and USA. Last year, I was just like, all right, it's time for the next thing. What's going on? Where am I going to go? And I applied online at Netflix for a position that ultimately didn't work out because it just wasn't the right fit, but they wanted to hold on to my resume. And actually, last Memorial Day weekend, I was getting ready to go to Cuba, and the day before I left, they laid off 40 people between USA and Sci-Fi. And during those layoffs, they transitioned my role to a role that I never really raised my hand for, I really wasn't interested in. And the response to me by the vice president was, you should be lucky you still have a job. I was very furious, but you know what? I was on my way to Cuba. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let you rain on my parade. I'm about to go enjoy myself. And as I was walking to the gate in the airport, that's when I received the email from Netflix regarding this position. And I must say that I'm a firm believer of faith and God. I'm grateful. So when I came back from my trip, my life changed drastically. I had a phone call on Monday. Tuesday, I had video conference interviews. Wednesday, they wanted to fly me out. Thursday, I was on a plane. Friday, I was in the LA office. And Monday, I got the job. And my life changed forever. My family, friends, everybody's on the East Coast, and this was the first time that I was going to be moving for an opportunity like this, but I knew it was the right opportunity. And when I started at Netflix, I was overseeing visual communications for some of our US titles. And what visual communications means is that we sit under publicity and we're focused on the creative for publicity campaigns. So when you think about the cover of Vanity Fair or EW, those photographs that you see, that's our team that's producing those shoots. Those stills that you see in the magazines, those are the unit stills that we're hiring the unit photographers for and producing those stills. EPK videos that you see on the YouTube. So that's our team working cohesively with the publicists and strategizing on our campaigns. I had no idea that just starting last year was going to lead to me receiving a promotion in May, and now I'm overseeing all of Latin America and all of our local originals coming out of Latin America. It's a huge challenge because my Spanish isn't all the way up there, but I have a tutor that comes in and works with me and a couple of my other colleagues. I also pledged the Latino fraternity when I was in college, so that helped out as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at currently, overseeing visual communications for Latin America.
So my name is Megar. I am a software engineer at Glidewell Laboratories. And what I'm working on is a project that is a social media project. At the same time, it's dealing with a lot of data that comes into the app. And it's very much like Facebook. It has all of those features, liking, disliking, sharing, commenting, all of those. And what I'm very excited about and I'm working on is the fact that I had the opportunity no problem, to also work with the business side of my company. So what that means is that I'm not only like a developer that is just in their head coding, but I'm also talking with all the executives, CTO, all the people who are involved with this project, and I'm learning a lot about them from them. So this is a very great opportunity for me. I'm learning a lot, and I graduated in 2014, so I'm very much like you guys. I'm just very fresh out of college and excited to be here.
Hi guys, my name's Cam Kashani. They call me the godmother of Silicon Beach. It's true. I didn't wake up one day and be like, I'm the godmother. I actually got named that. The community gave it to me. And I'll explain what that means. So I'm a 3-time founder. I'm an expert speaker with the State Department in a program proven to ward off terrorism by empowering the women and the youth overseas in the Middle East to build entrepreneurial projects. And I'm a single mom of twin boys. It's always my biggest accomplishment. I previously started the first co-working space in Los Angeles. If you guys are familiar with co-working, like WeWork, right? So before WeWork existed, I started the first co-working space in LA back in early 2010, before there was any technology scene out here in LA. There was no Silicon Beach, as they call it now. There was literally a Google sales office, Yahoo, and like 2 startups. So we started this space that came out of need. To give you a little more context, my first company was an absolute failure. It was 2 years, $200,000, and 3 customers. Yeah. that burned. It burned hard. But what it takes to be an entrepreneur, if any of you guys are, wanting to go into that world, and I never thought I would be one. I did not believe in myself for the longest time. I really didn't think I could become an entrepreneur. So the fact that I'm sitting here now doing what I'm doing is like, damn. It's incredible what a human being is capable of when you do believe in yourself. So the first company, total failure, but from that spawned the concept of the second one being Co-Loft, because we needed an AA for entrepreneurs, as we called it. And it ended up spawning the entire LA tech scene. We had over 1,800 alumni come through, including Uber LA, Instacart, ZipRecruiter, the early Tinder team. All these guys came out of our space. Yeah, for real. And it was incredible and beautiful, and I actually ended up losing that company in my divorce. So my business partner was my ex-husband, and I found myself at a place where I literally had to start all over, right? It was, and I loved that company. It was like my first child, okay? So being in that place where I'm like, great, I'm a single mom overnight, and I don't have an income, I don't know what I'm doing, like, who am I, totally naked in the universe? That was a time where I had a choice. I either become a victim or I become empowered. So that's when I decided to powerfully rebuild myself, and that's when I met my business partner now. She's an intuitive coach. She's amazing. And we started what we're doing now, which is my 3rd company. It's called CoExcel, the Human Accelerator. We work one-on-one with founders and entrepreneurs in a really powerful, innovative method of coaching. In short, we build badasses. Yeah, and it's really rewarding work. We're helping people optimize themselves and understand what they're truly capable of. I'm walking proof of my product, which is incredible. And real quick, my defining moment, I think, in terms of like the best moment in my career. So being a speaker with the State Department, being in Kuwait, a place I never thought I would go to, right? It's a tiny, tiny country next to Iraq. Sitting in the U.S. ambassador's home on a round table. I think I'm one of 2 women. It's in the Middle East, and like, everyone's like, in the Middle East. I'm Persian, so I can say that. And having a moment where I was like, I have nothing to lose right now, and I'm just going to tell these people what's up because they are not doing what's in the best interest of the country. They're being kind of, thinking about themselves and what I call the me dynamic as opposed to the we dynamic, right? So I let it be known, I said what I said. The ambassador was like, did she just say that? That's amazing. And they ended up appointing me a special advisor of innovation and entrepreneurship for the U.S. ambassador in Kuwait. So speak up, be yourself, be bold. You never know what's going to come out of it. Thanks.
I do not know why I sit here because I have to come after all of these dynamic folks. But no, I mean, it was an honor just when we were backstage hearing everyone that was in the green room, and now hearing the extended version of your bios. I'm like, woo! Well, amen. On a dynamic panel this morning. But my name is Melissa Guy. I'm so happy to look in your faces because I feel like you guys are me. I also came out of the CSU system, Cal State Long Beach. I majored in international studies. Go Beach! I majored in international studies. I minored in Spanish and economics, which has nothing to do with what I do right now. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm also a crusader for women and diversity and youth and entrepreneurship and innovation. There's a scripture that I live by that says your gift will make room for you. Yeah. So I feel I have many gifts, and that's why I'm a serial entrepreneur. And what I love doing is inspiring people who may not know that this is a lane that they can take to find freedom. I feel like in our communities, if more people knew that their gifts could actually be a billion-dollar idea, that they take risk on the thing that's already inside of them versus searching out to duplicate other things and roles and job descriptions, that your job description is actually embedded in you. So that's what I do on a daily basis. I'm the president of Asset Media Group. We're an award-winning content production firm in Signal Hill, California. We have a 3,000 square foot facility where we do all types of fun content. Green screen, white sidewall, many of the TV commercials that are filmed locally come right out of my studio. I have clients like Disney, Reebok, Nike, LRG for some of you that are a little bit older, Cavassier for some of you that turn up on the weekend. And so I'm proud to have gained those sort of clients, but I'm mostly proud to work with small entrepreneurs and startups that get to use my studio to launch their brands, and a lot of internet influencers use our space here. Also, I am the executive director of the Urban Media Foundation, where we take kids that were just like me, which ties into, my biggest moment is just overcoming the obstacles. My mother was disabled and my father passed away when we were 7 years old, spontaneously. And so it was a very big shock to my family, and so I go back and serve those youth, underserved youth, and teach them about entrepreneurship and innovation. And so we cover the gamut all the way from leadership, communication skills, stock trading, because I am a former stockbroker, and also up into any new technology. So they get to do things like AI and VR and you name it, 360 videos. They're flying around on the green screen, creating their own content. We want to empower the next group of creatives. I work on the production team of Wonder Woman Tech because we are also passionate. I love collaborating with other people. So we're passionate about inspiring the next generation, of course, where I lead the Junior Innovation Camp, and then women in diversity and tech and entrepreneurship, because while we make up most of the workforce, we make up very little of tech. So that's where we are calling the brands to the table and asking them, why aren't we there? And what do we need to do to get there? And starting those conversations so that we can see a more diverse workforce in the tech arena and in entrepreneurship. I'm the president of the Signal Hill Chamber of Commerce. So Signal Hill is 2.2 miles, sits right in the center of Long Beach. We have over 2,000 businesses, and I basically, I'm a small business strategist. I coach them all through business. I create marketing events and networking events to help them grow their businesses and brands. I work with them on a daily basis, and I'm really passionate about small business, as you can see. I think I went down the list, and my biggest job is I'm a mompreneur. So I've got a 1-year-old daughter. Her name is Nori. She's also working. Nori gets a check. You can see Nori on Disney Kids, or she is modeling for the Disney store and Carter's and a few other places. So you can find Baby Nori on a couple of things. Everybody has to work in our house.
I was gonna say, let's get into this so you guys will have time to get some questions to the panel. Let me ask you guys, and anybody can jump in, whoever would like to first. What are some of the unwritten laws of success specifically for your industry that differ from other industries?
I'll jump in on that because my particular industry is almost entirely self-motivated, and that is the primary thing. You know, you said something really wonderful about the gifts that we all have. I think a lot of people are afraid of that aspect of themselves. Because it's a natural part of you, you tend to dismiss it because it's easy. Because you didn't have to work for it, you actually had that gift. And one of the things that I've said to a lot of students, I've asked them, you know, what are your goals? And I could go around this room right now and ask you what your goals are. You might say that you want to found a, you know, Forbes company, or you want to find, you know, a high energy renewable company, or something like that. And I will tell you, you're all wrong, because you are. You have one goal, and I'm arrogant enough to tell you what it is. You want to be happy.
Yeah.
Now, what it will take to make you happy is what makes you miserable, because it's hard to figure that out. Sometimes it's right there in you. Sometimes your heart's desire is your talent, and you should not be afraid to pursue it. The industry I'm in has two aspects to it. It's show biz. Show, the artistic creative side. Biz, the business aspect of it. So you have to be aware of the business side. But that is a business that sells that gift that you have, that creative gift. And it doesn't have to be in film and television or acting or anything like that. It's whatever you happen to have a love for it. So you shouldn't be afraid of that. You should actually jump into it, wallow around it, swim in that big pool, because that's where you're the most happy. And I can tell you this, after 35 years of doing this, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, because that sounds like responsibility. Until then, I'm going to keep having fun at this, because this is what I love. So it's your self-motivation. My particular business, it's all about that. The moment you stop working, you're actually back to square one. So what's the only thing you can rely on? Right here.
Yeah. To add to that real quick, being a founder or entrepreneur, there is no path, right? It's not like you're becoming a doctor, you're not becoming a lawyer, you're not looking for a job, getting a job. There is no path at all. So you have to be unreasonable in the pursuit of creating what you want to see in the world and what it is that you want to create. So you gotta not give any craps. I tend to swear, so I'm trying to hold that back. Yeah, you just gotta be bold, believe in yourself more than anything else. Believe in yourself. This applies to all industries in the world. Believe in yourself, you're an awesome human, there's only one of you, you are unique and beautiful in your own way. And just be unreasonable in that pursuit of it. There are no rules. That's the cool thing about startup life and building your own company. There are absolutely no rules. You get to decide what you want to do, what it is. You don't have to do it like anybody else. It can be unique to you and an extension of you in the world. It's a beautiful thing.
I want to riff off of what you just said, because I work for a startup. I've done a couple of my own startups as well. Right now I am working for a startup in the tech industry. As she said, there are no rules. But don't be afraid of success. So there comes a point where you come to a stepping point and you're like, well, if I step back, like it'll be okay, but I'm not going to go anywhere. But if I step forward, the whole world is in front of me. And when you get to that point, it's scary. It really is, because it's a big decision. And don't be afraid to take that step. What's the worst that's going to happen? Really, what? You might fail. Okay, then you're just back where you started. No big deal. Go forward, push forward. Don't be afraid to take those big steps. And then when you've made that success, believe that it is actually your success. Mm-hmm. There's a thing called imposter syndrome, and it sucks.
Look that up.
Seriously, look that up, and it sucks. And when you get to that point, believe in yourself still. You are not an imposter. You are actually successful, and that is okay.
And it's easy to do in the tech industry because you're surrounded by so many brilliant minds. Yeah. So you begin to question yourself, like, am I sitting at the right table? You have to You do have to believe in yourself, and you're there for a reason. I would say also just being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Since I've been out here, I have not been comfortable. I'm embracing it. So just know that that's like a key thing here in the tech industry as well.
And I would like to add that you never arrive. You know, so I think that when I was sitting in your position, I was like looking for what was next, like my end all, kind of like the career thing, like what's it gonna be, and I'm gonna be finished, like that's it, and I'm set for life. And I think that like as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, you never arrive. I heard a mentor of mine share with me, she said, you know, once you've made it, you're finished. You know, so you kind of want to think that in mind, like setting goals and continuing to set the new goal, accomplish that goal, kick that goal butt, and then set the next one. But once you feel that you've arrived, you've gotten comfortable, and there's nothing else left for you. And you hear people saying, I've been at a job for 20 years and I'm leaving there now. Because comfort is actually not that fun. You know, so living in happiness and you know, I feel like I'm always facing something new, and that's why I'm a serial entrepreneur, because I'm a change junkie. I absolutely love new things. And when you get comfortable with change, you will always succeed in life.
I want to build on what you said, and I think it's very important to be comfortable with not knowing what's next. It is like there are all these phases in life, and you're like, what's next for me? And you can't answer that question, you get frustrated. Also in your job, especially if you're a tech person, if you're an engineer, there are all these moments where you're like, I don't know what I should do. You really don't know, but you still have to persist, you still have to continue. And feeling comfortable with that is really important. Just know that you won't know, and embrace that. There's also another thing is, as an engineer, I see a lot that engineers are always like focused on the problem in hand, and they're like very much in their own head. But what you need to really do is to make all these great connections to the business, to why am I doing this? How is this helping? So at the end of the day, we are there to solve business problems, but also understanding it completely, where is the role of that component you're working on? How can I make it better? Is there anything in the process of this business that I can make better? All of those things are things that will help you become very successful.
And real quick, mindset is something that has been touched on here a couple times already. That's huge, you guys. Position failure is growth in your mind, and the fear dissipates. And know that as you move forward, the failure is actually helping you grow. And being out of your comfort zone is where you grow.
Failure is a baby step because you learn from it.
Yeah. Huh? Which part?
Outside of your comfort zone.
Outside of your comfort zone is where you grow. And if you don't do it by yourself, trust me, the universe will put you there.
Yes. So good. Aristotle said adversity introduces a man to himself.
Yeah.
Eleanor Roosevelt said people are like tea bags. You don't know what you're made of until you're put in hot water. So a lot of what they're saying is so very true. You all heard Mavis mention the Marvis. I'm sorry. Mavis Staples. Marvis, get me together, Marvis. You all heard Marvis mention early on in his career was kind of the toughest part. Kind of figuring out that. I want to pose the question to you guys. What has been the most challenging part of your career, but more importantly, how did you overcome it? In this business, specifically in this industry.
Will, I'll take that one. I kind of touched on it already, right? My challenging moment was getting fired and divorced at the same time from my own company. I literally filed for divorce and my ex-husband fired me the next day. That's how it went. So literally overnight, I'm like, who am I? I have no idea. And that was a very difficult moment. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, well, whatever, let's just choose to be happy. No, I totally went through a depression at that point. And what I did to get, well, first of all, I'm also a big believer in faith, and the universe brought me the woman who is my business partner now. And she is the one who really helped build me back up. She believed in me when I did not. And she's the one who kept telling me, she was my coach, and she kept telling me, I believe in you, you need to believe in you, you're going to be able to get to where you want to go, you're in your own way, as every human being is. Once you get out of your own way is when you're going to get to where you deserve to be, right? So that was challenging for sure, but having her was awesome. I also did a bunch of self-development and personal development. I can't stress enough to you guys how important that stuff is. Whether you go online and check out Tony Robbins, or you go online and look at Abraham Hicks, or whatever it is that sparks your fancy, whatever speaks to you, okay? Maybe it's church, I don't know. Wherever you go where you feel that fire and you start to get inspired and you feel like your badass self. That's what you need on a daily basis. I did a lot of that. Okay, and I completely shifted my mindset. I literally reprogrammed my brain 180 because I realized I was walking through my life with I don't deserve it, and I wasn't even aware of that. And most people, now that I'm a coach and I'm working one-on-one with people, most people have that, and they're not aware of it. As they were saying, imposter syndrome stems from that. It stems from you walking around thinking you don't deserve it. And you do. Every single one of you do. You're a beautiful gift to this world. So yeah, that was my really hard time. It took time. It took patience. It took persistence. It took resilience. They say fall down 7 times, stand up 8. That's what it takes to be a happy human. All right? To be a happy human, that's what it takes. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all going after. And now, honestly, my life is unrecognizable compared to just 3 years ago.
I would say also during my time of unemployment, I mean, it was a difficult time, you know, phases of depression, but you do surround yourself with positive people, and I think that's so important, whether it's friends, family. I think also surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, because you're constantly learning and growing. So having those people around me during that time definitely helped me get back to myself. And then I also remember moving out here. I mean, I left all my family and friends on the East Coast. When you start, at least for me personally, starting at Netflix, you know, you're given your laptop. It's just like, all right, you need to do this. You know, good luck. And I remember meeting with my boss on Friday, and she was just like going through all the shows that were about to start production and all the projects that I was going to be working on. And at the time, I was leaving work early to go look in an apartment, and I was stuck in traffic, and I remember having the biggest headache. And I was just self-doubting myself. I was just like, I made the worst mistake ever. Like, how could I move out here? Like, everything is over there. Like, how the hell am I gonna get through this? And I came back to work on that Monday, and I gave her the feedback, and I was just like, hey, you hit me with a lot. Can we, like, slow it down? This is me being vulnerable. This is me being honest and transparent. And I mean, once I started getting into it, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, you guys brought me out here because I know what I'm doing. So you're gonna have moments of self-doubt. You're gonna have moments where you're just like, damn it, I don't deserve this, like the imposter syndrome, but just keep on pushing. Like if you're familiar with working out where you're just like, damn, I can't do one more rep, just do it, you got it.
Yep.
Now, there are questions, guys, that I want to pose to them, but like, you know, that are on here. But it's just way more raw and organic and natural if it comes from the floor. So I know you guys have lots of questions that you want to ask these professionals, their experience, and under the umbrella of tech, it runs the gamut of what you could do as someone who has a role in their industry. What questions from the floor can I entertain, or can the panel entertain, that you guys would like answered? Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brian Lim. I work as a STEM mentor at Norco College. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody who showed up today and gave their experience. And I'm also very happy to see, with all due respect to the two wonderful men that are in the room, that there is a majority of women in here. And working as a mentor, I guess one of my biggest challenges is being a man and trying to get through to female students that are hoping to break into the industry, whether it be in tech or entrepreneurship. What wisdom would you bestow upon them?
Great question. You're talking about for the men on the panel or all panelists?
Just for everybody, if they want to give advice for women in particular.
Oh, good question.
Well, when we were talking about challenges that we faced, I thought about the biggest challenge of mine, and that actually goes with what you were just asking. Mine was the fact that I didn't have my voice. I was working with, like, I think there were, like, at the time that I joined, there were like 2 girls and like 30 men, something like that. And it was like a very tough situation for me because I didn't know how to express myself, how to bring up my ideas, how to be kind of like accepted as somebody who is an actual engineer also, and all of that. And I think it just takes time, but it's about like building confidence. And just know that it's getting much better, but when you get into the tech industry, it's very normal that you see